Hello and welcome to Flo's Crafty Crochet. Today we're going to be looking at the bobble stitch as part of the Christmas in July crochet along. So we're looking at row 4, the wavy line. So I've already done 8 single crochets here and now I'm about to do my 9th. So I'm going to put my hook in, I'm going to pull through this green yarn, and instead of putting the green yarn over to finish the stitch, instead I'm going to put on the contrast colour. So the contrast colour for me is now white again. So I'm just going to make a little slip knot. And I'm going to put it on the end of my hook like so and pull through. It just means now when I go to work, I'm going to be working in the white. Before I work, I'm going to pull this end, the unworking end, and pull it towards me so it's out of the road. And then I'm going to start my bobble stitch. So yarn over, making sure that your green is worked underneath. So I'm going into the hook, I'm going into the stitch and I'm going through, making sure that my green is also wrapped underneath. I'm going to pull through, yarn over, I'm going to take off 2. I'm going to put my yarn over, I'm going to go in again. I'm going to pull through, take off 2, and I'm going to repeat this 5 times. 4, and one more time. So on the last time, I'm going to pull that really tight. So my white, I'm pulling tight. Instead of putting my yarn over with the white, I'm going to instead put my yarn over with the green. So I'm going to put the yarn over with the green. I'm going to pull through. I'm going to pull tight. I'm also going to take this white and I'm going to pull it tight and towards me again. And then I'm going to single crochet into the next stitch. And keep working. So I'm going to single crochet for the next 13. So that's me. I'm going to work my whole way over. If you want to pause the video here until you work that first stitch, you can see that the bobble then pops out nicely on this side. So what I recommend is that you have a couple of different small balls of white or your contrast colour just to make the very first or the bottom bobble of the wavy row. It's just to help with carrying yarn and keeping your colour changes nice and clean. So when you have that first SC in after the bobble, then you're going to do 13. So that's 1, 2, 3, 12, and again at that 13th one, put your hook in, pull through the green, and then with your new little ball of white, or whatever your contrast colour is, just pop it on the end and pull through the white. Again, taking that little end, pulling it forward, and then creating your bobble. So yarn over, in you go. So it's almost like a double crochet, but you're not fully finishing it off. You're going back in 5 times until you have those loops on your hook. So one more time. And the key to making the bobble pop is to pull nice and tight. So pull nice and tight with your green because you're going to go over the hook with the green to pull through so that your single crochet is again right in the right colour. So off you go. If you want to work away with the rest of that row and row 5, and then I'll meet you back here for the beginning of row 6. So that's me ready to start row 6. So I've done my chain 1 and I am going to single crochet in the next 8. So 1, 6 and 7, because my 8th one is going to be slightly different. So I'm going to put my hook in, I'm going to pull through my green, and then the same as the last time, I want to pull through my contrast colour. So I'm going to use this white yarn that's already being worked. This is the way I do the colour changes for this part. You don't have to do it this way. You can simply have colour changes each, starting with a new end each time. But this, for me, creates less ends in the long run. So I only have this little bit to weave in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that through. So it goes through both of those. I'm going to pull the green tight. And then I'm going to do my bobble stitch. So you'll see that the white is stretched across, but don't worry about that because we can cover that. And it'll be the same on rows further up where the white might be stretched a little further, but you are able to cover it by working over the top. So again, pulling my green nice and tight and my white, I'm going to yarn over with the white, I'm going to go in underneath where that white is across and making sure that I'm also capturing the green behind, and I'm going to create my bobble stitch. 3. Again, you're working this hook in 5 times in total. So I have that done now. So instead of putting my yarn over to finish off with the white, I'm going to pull my green up and I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to finish with the green. Now, if we look at the pattern says to do a bobble and then a single crochet and then a bobble. So what we're going to do is we already have our green, which is the right colour. We're going to put our hook in underneath that white again to make sure we've got it captured to hide it. I'm also pulling this white up to make sure that I'm going to hide it also. And I'm going to pull my yarn through. Now, before I finish off my single crochet by wrapping this yarn around, I'm going to instead take the white to wrap it around and finish it off to make sure that when I start this second bobble that it's back in the white colour. So all you're doing is making sure that your single crochet is done in the green while your bobble remains in the white. So yarn over and into the stitch again, pulling your green nice and tight to make sure that it's nice and secure. And that's my 5th time round. Pulling the white nice and tight, pulling the green nice and tight, pulling through all the stitches so that now when I go to work my next 11 single crochets, it's going to be in the right colour. Again, with that white, because we're finished this little section, pull it towards you and work your 11 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and if I turn this round, you'll see that I have my 2 bobbles and my green single crochet in there. Okay, so I'm just going to work on until I get to the next one. So it is 11, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then on my 11th I'll put my hook in, pull through the green and lift up my white, and across we go. And again off we go with making our bobbles. So yarn over, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, pulling it nice and tight, white towards me, green around, pull through. Now I'm starting my single crochet in the green, pull through, swap into the white, making sure that my tension remains nice and tight, pulling the green down and creating my second bobble. So it might seem very fiddly at the start, but you will get used to it. It just takes a little bit of practice. Again, you don't have to use this technique. You can use whatever technique you are happy with in order to do your colour changes. So I'm just going to let you work away on the end of that row, and I'm going to meet you back for the beginning of row 8. So here we are ready to start row 8. So we're going to go with 7 single crochets. So on my 7th, I'll put the hook in, and again not finishing it off. So this time you'll be able to see me carrying this white a little bit more, because you'll see we've now got a longer white line to hide. So I'm going to do my puff stitch, or sorry, my bobble stitch in here. And again pulling that white nice and tight and towards me, pulling my green tight, pulling through. This time I need to do 3 single crochets. So again, bringing my white with me and my green, and into the stitch 1, into the next one 2, and into the next one 3. But before I finish it off, taking the white, finishing off with a white, and then making my bobble stitch in the next. So when you're carrying your yarn, if you make sure that the yarn is pulled towards you as close as you can, you will always be able to hide it whenever you're doing the work, and in the long run it'll save you trying to hide and weave in all those ends. I'm just going to work now. It is 9 stitches. 8, and on the 9th one again, pulling my white up and working my bobble stitch. And again pulling through that green, and then 1, 2, and then changing back. So it is relatively easy. It's just actually getting used to the stitches and used to the changing colours. But you can see the white is hidden there. So it will save you in the long run trying to hide in lots of edges. Next up, I'm going to show you how to do the straight line that comes at the end, rows 24 and 25. I posted in another video below. I hope you're really enjoying this crochet along and look forward to talking to you in group. Thank you.